Hey, hello. So, today, sorry, I'm like getting settled. We are going to talk about a book that I didn't necessarily know it was going to be about this. Kind of hard for me to read, actually. It is physically easy to read. It's in free verse, poetry, so it's in stanzas and written out exactly like stanzas like in poetry, but it doesn't rhyme. It's kind of like a stream of consciousness or first person perspective narrative. So the book is called The Opposite of Innocent. It's by Sonya Sones. So I first started reading Sonya Sones in middle school. It's how the only way I know her. And I used to read, so I read What My Mother Doesn't Know, What My Girlfriend Doesn't Know, and The Hideous Book Where the Mother Dies. And, which, yes, it's a long, sad title. But the stories are so good for young ages, like in middle school when I read it. It was very coming of age, like, so What My Mother Doesn't Know, the main character Sophie is like boy crazy, and the hideous book Where the Mother Dies, the main character of that book, I forgot her name, but she's going through a bunch of stuff after her mom dies of presumably cancer and has to like move across the country and live with her dad that she's never met, who happens to be a movie star, right? Just a lot of stuff. So these were really good for me, which I think in 7th grade or 8th grade I read all of those books, and I was just obsessed. It was easy to read, like pacing wise, like the pages just flip on by. It's not hard to read at all, but also it like really emotionally grabs you. So the first person narrative, so it is first person narrative. So we're following along the main character. Her name is Lily. And she's about 14 or 15. She's starting her freshman year of high school. She's very excited. As far back as she can remember, she has always been in love with, she's been infatuated with her father's college friend, Luke. And already you're like, girl, you are way too young to be involved in all that. And he, though he is like 8 years younger than the dad, I guess the dad was a TA and he was a freshman at the time that they met, that still makes him 29 years old in this story, and she is head over heels. She thinks he's the one, and she remembers when she was little and he was holding her, reading her stories. She put her arms around his neck and said, "Luke, I'm gonna marry you one day," just like little girls do to men that they have no idea what marriage means, you know. I remember telling my dad that I was going to marry him one day because people told me that you married your best friend, and he was my best friend at the time. So, and I always had fun with him, and I wanted to be with him every single day. So I thought that's what that meant, and they all laughed at me, obviously. Little kids say that all the time. Now Luke, on the other hand, turns to her and says, "I'll wait for you, Lily." And she didn't know exactly how much he really meant those words. And so we start at the beginning, where all we know is that she's excited that he's coming back from Kenya. He's been on this big trip to Kenya, and he's been gone for a long time, and she just can't wait till he comes back. And so she's going around the room and introducing all of the things that he's bought in her over the years on her birthdays, her favorite this, and on her 6th birthday this, and her 8th birthday that, and her 11th birthday, and now, you know, and she's like, now I'm a woman. I can't wait for him to see me, and my boobs have grown in, and my hair is long, and I've learned makeup, and you know, I've been reading teen magazine, and I think I know what it is to be. I know that I'm a woman now. I can't wait for him to see me, and they pick him up from the airport. They're all ecstatic. The whole family loves Luke. And Lily has a little sister named Alice. She is the cutest little thing in the world. And Lily is a photographer, so she's always taking pictures of her little sister. That I can highly relate to, because my sister is also absolutely adorable, and I am a novice photographer, and I always take pictures of my sister. She is my #1 model. Almost my entire portfolio is of my sister. So I relate, and Lily is doing her best to not be selfish with his attention, because all she wants to do is talk to him and hang out with him, and get him to know the new and improved, or I guess not new and improved, but the more mature her. When he first sees her at the airport, he says, "Wow, you've grown into such a beautiful young woman." And she's like, "Oh my god, he called me a beautiful woman, oh my god." And so she's so happy, right? And later, I think it might be like the next day, she's taking a shower and she's just thinking about Luke, obviously. And she's leaving the shower and the bathroom, and she bumps into Luke and her towel falls off and she's just exposed. And she's mortified. She picks up her towel, she covers herself. And Luke is like, "Wow, Lily, you really have grown into such a beautiful woman." She's a fucking teenager, dude. Gross. And so she blushes, she goes to her room, and she's actually happy. She's happy that he's noticed her in this way and has called her a woman, so she thinks that he will recognize her as such, right? And that's all she wants. And she's so excited when... so her mom works all the time, and her dad also works, but he's also works even way more than the mom. Always on his phone, just like always working. He has a business, and Luke's money actually is into the business. They like partnered up together, I guess, after college, and they have a business together. That comes back later. The dad is not exactly the most affectionate person in the world. He doesn't hate his daughters. He actually loves them quite a bit. He himself just wasn't raised in a household of very much affection, and desperately wants to know how, but doesn't do it. He doesn't even hug his wife or say "I love you" very often, and this comes into play too, because I think psychologically, when you're not getting your emotional needs met by your parental figure, you might be looking for that emotional or physical affection elsewhere. So I'm not that it's the parent's fault that she was liking an older man, but typically speaking, that happens, and there is nothing wrong with her having a crush. What's wrong is if he reciprocates, right? Because he's the adult. Like he knows that what's wrong about that scenario, right? So one of the days he's babysitting both of them, and he takes them to the beach, and they're having a great time. He's able to like get away from all the teenagers and all the chaotic families and get them in a little spot over on the beach, and they're like splashing in the water, and they're going and they're tickling each other and having a great time. Lily is just describing this as a beautiful memory. And they sit on the blanket and they're just cold, they're shivering, right? And so Luke is holding them until they're warm again, and then Alice is the first to pass out. So they're like, "Oh, she's so cute, look at her passed out." And Luke is still holding Lily because she is chattering away. She is so cold, but also she's chattering away because he's holding her and she's really nervous. And he looks around and he's like, "Oh, it's like our own private little beach." And he leans in and he kisses her. He kisses Lily, the teenager. And he pulls back and he goes, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that." She's like, "Oh yeah, you should have. Oh yeah, definitely." And like, of course, he likes that approval. And this I'm gonna skip forward to, there's a moment where there's a family gathering and he needs to like get napkins and silverware and stuff like that, so she follows him, and her mom is like, "Oh my god, it's so cute, I think Lily has a little crush on Luke," out loud in front of everybody. And she's like, "You would not think it's so cute if you knew everything that was happening," right? Because in the basement he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure?" And she's like, "Yes." Like, obviously she's a young girl who's never been touched before, never been kissed before, never had anyone hug her and swoop her and any of that stuff. So she's so excited for love and she also doesn't have the capability of consenting to this man. So you are just stuck reading her perspective of wanting this, knowing that she can't possibly give that kind of permission. And they kiss in secret a lot, like a lot. And so she's like buzzing. Her friends are asking, what is this all about? So she has two best friends, Rose and Taylor, and Rose is like a hopeless romantic along with Lily. They both read books together about romances, and Taylor is their gay best friend, who is also a super genius. So he was away at camp and he has this love story about meeting some boy named Ethan, and Rose has her, she is a little boy crazy, like a little bit, like not really, she just has a crush and then moves on and then has a crush and then moves, a little bit like Sophie in the first book, honestly. But she's also like she has a good head on her shoulders, you know, and you'll see, and you see that a little bit later on, because they are asking her about what's new with her during the beginning of school, and she's just like, oh, you know, nothing. And they're like, you're absolutely buzzing, there's something going on. And she's like, okay, so there's like an older guy. And they're like, ooh, how old is older guy? Like senior older? And they're like, just pushing her. And she's like, no. And they're like able to vote older? And she's like, no. And they're like, dude, is he able to drink? This is like too far. And she's like, never mind, it's not even a thing, so it doesn't even matter. It's unrequited love, so it doesn't even matter. And they're like, good, because that's fucking weird. And they try really hard not to be mean to her about it, but they're like, that's scary, right? Don't do that. And she's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing, and besides, Luke would never hurt me. You know, she says that in her own narrative, and you're like, you don't know this man. I mean, she says she does because she grew up with him. Like, he's been a family friend their entire life. And that's more common than not, unfortunately, that it's always somebody that you're really close to. So she doesn't really tell her friends about Luke at all, especially because they're not supposed to be doing what they're doing, and they know that. And there's a special bookshop that her and Rose go to. It's Bella's Books, and Bella is the owner, and she is this very wise, knowledgeable woman, and she just seems to know what's on their mind before they even say it, or know what they need before they need it. And she's just that kind of woman, that woman of connection and spirit, and you know, damn near psychic, you know what I mean? And so she's always trying to help the girls with what they need, especially just like listening to their little boy woes and their troubles and stuff like that. But Lily's obviously pretty closed off, and she's like, what's new with you? You're glowing and you're not saying a single thing. And she's like, nothing. And they're like, yeah, okay, well, the romance section's that way, your favorite section, go ahead. And Luke ends up picking her up. So both Rose and Bella meet Luke, and they are none the wiser because he's apparently super charming. He's got this British accent. He's so nice to everybody. He's like just glazing them, and they're just taking it, right? And so she's like, wow, I guess I can't really see what's going on between us. No, because there's nothing should be going on between you two. Like, what? You look like his daughter. In fact, actually, one of the days that he's hanging out with her and Alice, he gets commented by somebody. It's like, you and your daughters, and the whole life floods from her face because she doesn't look like his girlfriend. She looks like a child because she is still a child. I mean, she's not a small child, and when she's trying to say, I'm not a kid, I'm a woman, you are a very young woman, yes. And there is a difference between being a kid and being innocent, and there's so many levels, and she learns how quickly he wants to move on that, because when she's sick, she actually gets strep throat, he offers to take care of her, and then he immediately swoops her up and takes her to the living room, and she's like, why don't we go to your room? He's like, oh, we don't want to get caught there. Oh, but you want to get caught in the living room. Okay, like, whatever. And she's like really uncomfortable because all of these pictures of her parents are staring right at her. So he starts kissing on her neck, and she's all sick and stuff like that. And he's like, better not kiss, I guess, you know. And he unzips his fly, and she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, in her head, she's like, I know I'm not ready for this. Rose has told me about the things that she's done with boys, and this is many steps past like what we're supposed to be doing. Like, I haven't even, he hasn't even touched my boobs yet. We've gone from kissing to him unzipping his pants. And so she, you know, freaks out, obviously. And he's like, well, you know, I thought you were a woman. You know, you said you were a woman. I guess you're just a kid. And she's like, no, I'm not. I'm not a kid. I'm a woman. And she's just like grossed out. But, you know, he's like, well, I'm a man. This is what I need. And he fucking manipulates her, and she proceeds to do whatever he asks of her. And when he's done, he fucking passes out. He just passes out, and she's left alone, so alone, feeling more alone than she's ever felt before. And this continues. He finds rendezvous spots for them, like in the back of a parking lot or the parking lot of a mall, behind a 7-Eleven. Like, it gets skeevier and skeevier, and she's so uncomfortable with it. She doesn't want to do it anymore. And her friends are like pushing her to get information about this guy, because they don't want her to be with him. And like, she's asked them to cover for her on a sleepover, and they said no. So they are good friends. They will not. They're like, this too shall pass. You should not be dealing with this. They don't know that he's a family friend. They just think he's some college boy that she's trying to go out and see and sneak off and go see, because she won't tell anybody what's going on. And obviously, I'm not mad at her or blaming her, but I'm like freaking out. I'm like screaming at my book, almost like, please, please, please tell your friends. But like, she literally says why she doesn't tell them. She's scared that they're gonna shut it down, basically, and she doesn't want that. And she's like, this is what I have to do to keep him. This is what I'm gonna do. And it's like, and then with each time it's happening, she's like, I'm not getting anything out of this. I'm not having fun. I'm not getting even kissing anymore, because like, he's pushing really hard on her mouth, and it's not even like gentle kissing. Nothing is romantic or nice or anything. And she's just like, we can't tell anybody. Like, I have to do all this stuff that I don't want to do. I'm getting nothing out of it for me. Like, he's not reciprocating. Like, not that would be better. I'm just saying, for her perspective, she's realizing how one-sided this really is. And she doesn't really want to do it anymore. And when her friends say that there's this guy that she might like, she's like, oh, I'm not going to like him. And he ends up being like her partner in class, of course. And she does really like him. But she's like, I don't like him because I'm in love with Luke. Right? Because, yeah. And so because they're partners, they end up going to a photo showing together, and Luke stalks her. He follows her, and he's there at the museum, and the next thing you see him, he's walking in with this super hot model girl named Amber that he's made excuses of seeing multiple times just so that he can like see Lily under an alibi. And she's like, she's kind of a bitch too, but like, he's like, oh, meet my favorite girls, da 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 da, and she's just like, just so upset by this beautiful woman. And she's just like, I'm really glad I'm not doing any of those things, but why am I like absolutely dying inside with the idea that she's doing that to him? Like, she can't bear that thought. And I'm like, girl, let him go. Stop. Like, she's probably not having fun either, trust me. This again progresses. She wants to go to a Halloween dance. Luke permits her. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you. So she's so miserable with the whole Amber and Luke dating thing, and she's just looking around, and then she goes home and she's just crying to her mom, and her mom's like, what's wrong? And she's just like, I hate chemistry. That's what it is. I hate chemistry. I'm failing. And she's a straight A student, so people are kind of like, what? And Luke goes, I'll help tutor you. And that's that. They are on the way to the library. He goes to a private room with her, closes the blinds rather suspiciously and quickly, and she just starts spilling her guts about how much she missed him and how much she's sorry, and that Presley was just a friend and it meant nothing, and he was like, oh, Amber meant nothing to me, I was just using her to make you jealous. And she's like, well, it worked. And they're like, ha ha ha. And he's like, well, since I'm tutoring you on chemistry, let's see how much you remember. And he unzips his pants again, and she's like, well, I don't want him to be with her doing this, so if this is what I'd have to do, this is what I have to do. And so they're back at it again, doing just doing that. They're back at it again, doing that at a fucking library. I'm just like, okay. And then they almost get walked in on, and so she freaks out, and he's just like, all right, we need a better place. He's like, she's like, you fucking think? Like, I don't even... like, she's so up to here. So during one of the times that they're talking, she really wants to go to this Halloween dance, and he permits her to go to this Halloween dance, and he thinks it's a great idea. And he's like, and she's like, okay, great. She's so excited. And so she goes with her friends, and they're all coupled up, and now she's a little upset because she's like, kind of wants to like be coupled up with Luke like they are, as simple as they are, or maybe with Presley, who would have been a lot easier to be with. And now she's kind of like sad that she doesn't have a simpler life, that she could just, you know, be a teenager, but she's dealing with all of this, and she feels like she's put herself into the situation, which she didn't. Like, I understand why she thinks that, but it was him, you know. And so she goes to the dance as Little Red Riding Hood, and they invited Presley and told him to show up as the wood chopper, so a woodsman. And she's just like, guys, and they're like, tee, and they're about to slow dance together until someone swoops in, which, by the way, this is like a callback of what my mother doesn't know, because the same thing happened with Robin and Sophie, except it's fucking Luke. Luke snuck in with a wolf mask into the dance, and he's like whispering in her ear, he's like, you have any idea how easy it was to get in here? I just told them that I was helping the DJ. We're gonna get out of here, and the whole night's gonna be a great night for us. The dance will be your alibi. And she's like, I don't really want that. And he's like, I knew you'd be surprised. I knew you'd be happy with the surprise. And she's like, I'm not. And he's like dragging her by the wrist, grabbing her wrist hard. And she's like, stop. And she's dragging her out of there. And she's like looking for her friends to save her, and they're not there. But they're texting her. And he's like, who is that? She's like scared now. She's stuck in the car with him. And she's like, it's my friends. They're wondering if I'm okay. I just left suddenly from the dance. She's telling her that you're sick. And so she's like, tells them that she's sick, and then they're like, I'm so sorry. And then Presley's texting because he cares about her, and he's like, who is it now? And he's like, Jesus, it's 2 text messages, relax. And she just doesn't respond to Presley, I don't think. Or maybe she does. She just says that she's not feeling good, and he said, I hope you feel better. And he takes the phone and just like shoves it in his pocket. He's tired of it, right? And they're like in this really bad part of town, and he shows her this apartment that's like sleazy, just really gross and sleazy. And she's like, what is this place? And he's like, ta-da, isn't it cute? And he's got like a flower and a lamp, or in a vase, and there's just this gross ass couch. And she's like, well, thankfully there's not much we can do on the couch. And he pulls a Murphy bed down, and so she's just horrified and disgusted, and she knows what's gonna happen, and she doesn't want it to happen, and she's really scared. And he's like, please don't ruin this perfect night, please don't ruin it, like, we're gonna have such a perfect night and you're ruining it. And she's like trying really hard to like keep the peace, but also she doesn't want to do what's gonna happen. And he like opens champagne and gives her bubbles. Like, he's like, drink it. And so she's taking like sips until her head gets all buzzy and whatever. And then there's hands and pressure and all this kind of stuff happening above her, and she just starts screaming no. She starts screaming, and he's like crying, no, Lily, I don't want to hurt you. And then she's like, okay, well, I don't want to do this. And he was like, well, I'm a man and I have my needs, so if we don't do this, then I'm probably gonna have to move far away. And she's like, okay, I think you should move far away. he's like, no, I don't think you understand. And he like grabs her face. He's like, if I move away, all of my money comes out of the company too. And then you and your whole family will be left bankrupt. And so she was like, so if she doesn't sleep with him, her entire family will suffer, will be at risk, at stake, according to him. He's holding this over her head. And she doesn't even fight it the second time. And I'm bawling my eyes out, crying in my room. It's so hard to read that. It's so hard to read something that you just want to help, and you can't. Thankfully, very thankfully, Sonya Sones is very careful with her words. She's not graphic. She tells you very little, but telling you everything. And she continues by saying this routine happens often. He takes her to the hotel or to the apartment, and she calls it a torture session. And she waits for the torture session to end, and then she's just a shell of a person. And nobody can talk to her. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. She's all of her teachers, every single teacher is trying to reach out to her, leaving her notes in her homework telling her that if she needs someone to talk to, that she can come to them. Everyone's trying, and even Bella's like, I'm here for you for when you need me. And she's just, and she just doesn't know how much worse it could possibly get. And she gets home and she sees Alice on Luke's lap, and he's reading her a story, and she just giggles, puts her arms around his neck and says, I love you, Luke, one day I'm gonna marry you. And he said, I'll wait for you, Alice. And that just turns her entire stomach ice. She is nauseated. She just thinks about Alice, poor baby, innocent little Alice, and how innocent she was, and how this is a cycle and it's going to keep going. And she saw into Luke's eyes when he was crying to her. He didn't give two shits about Lily. He cared about himself. She knew that. And she's like, how could I have ever loved this person? How could I have loved this monster? Everything, he's ever done has broken me. And even her parents were like, are you okay? And she's like, a boy broke my heart. That's all she could tell them. So when she hears this moment from Alice, saying the same thing that she did, and knowing that this is continuing, she runs out the door, and she runs and she runs and she runs, and she goes all the way to Bella, and she says, I need help. And Bella's, I was expecting you, Oh God, it was so hard to read, dude. It was so hard. And I gotta say, if you're one to skip over author's notes, don't on this one. Just because, actually, I'm just gonna read it just because it's important. In the story, when Luke sexually abuses Lily, he thinks it's her fault. But Lily is 100% wrong about that. If someone forces you to do something sexual that you do not want to do, it is never your fault. It doesn't matter if you flirted with them. It doesn't matter if you kissed them. It doesn't stop them, or it didn't stop them in the beginning. If you changed your mind and wanted to stop at any point, the other person must honor your request. If they won't stop when you ask them to, that is not okay. In addition to essaying Lily, Luke also sexually coerces her. He says that he will ruin her family financially if she doesn't have sex with him. When someone says you have to do something sexual that makes you uncomfortable and claims that it will be negative consequences if you refuse, that is sexual coercion, and it is not okay. Unwanted sexual behavior is never okay, whether the person is much older than you are, as the case is Luke and Lily, or the same age as you, or even younger. It doesn't matter whether the person is a stranger, someone you are dating, a friend, a family member, or someone you or your family knows and trust, like it is in Lily's situation. It is totally unacceptable and is definitely not your fault. When Lily asks Bella for help, she is starting a chain of events that will lead to Luke getting arrested and received a punishment that he deserves. If you or someone that you know has ever been SA'd, please do not wait as long as Lily did to ask for help. Get help right away. Tell your parents, another relative, one of your friend's parents, a clergy member, or a teacher. If you ever find yourself in immediate danger, call 911. You are not alone. There is a way out. And she puts some hotline numbers in here, some networks. In the acknowledgments, she even says this book was the opposite of easy to write, and it was her daughter that told her that how important it was to write this. She also told her to write it quickly, which I think is kind of funny. So I guess she did as best she could, as fast as she could, because this was written in 2018. There was even a moment where there was like a Trump took us out of the Paris climate change, and I was like, where was this written? Hold on. Like, wait, why are you mentioning Trump? How new is this? It's 2018. I was like, okay, first term. All right, awesome. But yeah, that is it for Opposite of Innocent, and I will see you on the next book, I guess. I won't be reading something like this in the car again. I actually had to take it out of the car and finish it because it was disturbing me as I was going back into work, and it would just not leave my mind. So hopefully this is the cathartic venting that I need to get it out of my life. And I'm sorry, Sonya Sones, I'm not gonna keep this one. I'm keeping all the other ones, but this was too traumatic for me, and I'm actually gonna put it in one of those free little libraries in the neighborhood because I think somebody else might need this. So thank you so much.